Hi, I'm David Olala, President and Chief Innovation Officer for SkyPoint Ventures in Flint, Michigan. This is Entrepreneurs in Elevators, a program brought to you by the MEDC to highlight entrepreneurs across the state. Today I'm in Ann Arbor meeting with Danny Ellis from SkySpecs. Ann Arbor is home to the University of Michigan, one of the top research universities in the United States. Do you want to grab a drink and chat about SkySpecs?
That sounds great.
All right,
appreciate
perfect.
it. Let's go.
Let's do it. Today we're riding in a vintage elevator with ornate doors and real marble. These elevators have been bringing people up since 1929, floors 1 through 10 with a 1,500-pound capacity. So Danny, what's SkySpecs?
Yeah, so SkySpecs is an automated inspection company. We actually develop software for industrial drones to autonomously inspect large infrastructure. We're currently working in the wind turbine industry, so we go up and look at the blades of wind turbines. We're looking for erosion, cracks, any manufacturing defects, and reporting that back to the customer.
Interesting. So is there an advantage being located in Ann Arbor, Michigan versus being on one of the coasts or, in some other country?
Well, all of our customers are worldwide. And so one of the biggest advantages of being here is we're centrally located. We can get to the middle of Iowa or to Denmark pretty quick. And it really doesn't matter where we are, in the U.S. We're going to customers that are located in the middle of wind farms. They're not in downtown San Francisco.
I know looking back as I had advice and looking at what opportunities are, there's just as much bad advice. There's probably more bad advice than there is good advice, right? So, but let's just say that you have a young team wanting to do a startup. What's your, number one go-to advice for starting out in an entrepreneurial endeavor?
So my first advice I tell everyone is take all my advice with a grain of salt, along with everybody else's. But what I try to tell them is you have to find a real problem to solve. If you're not solving a problem, you're not really doing anything. You can be building something cool that you think is cool, but if it's not solving a problem, it's going to be a really hard battle to actually develop it, get resources to develop it, and sell it. And in the early days, we did the wrong thing. We were a solution looking for a problem. We had a really cool drone, really cool software, and we were like, hey, someone is going to want this, and we had no idea who. And we just kind of went out into the world and swung and missed a few times until we found, kind of accidentally, that the wind turbine inspection industry was a good one for us. Had we done it the right way, we would have found wind as a problem and found a solution to fix that.
How much do you think your success relies on a little bit of faith? And you're an engineer, right? Mm-hmm. So I have to imagine, you're a logical thinker, right? And yet you're doing something that's quite nebulous and ambiguous, right? So how did that make your stomach feel in that process of, faith driving the opportunity?
I mean, it's part of being an entrepreneur. I would say a lot of people think there's a lot of luck involved. I think it's not so much luck as kind of a good balance between stubbornness and just, an unwillingness to give up. Our team, honestly, has probably failed a startup once or twice. The fact that we are still around and still called SkySpecs is just a testament to our ability to not give up.
You mentioned, luck not really being the driver, and that it's persistence, and I'm sure that people said you can't do this, right? Which probably fueled the fire more than not. But we all know that there are very few people and very few startups that are successful on their own volition, and most successful organizations and people really are standing on the shoulders of giants. And if you think of the history of Michigan, the vastness of Michigan, huge state, with a lot of diversification throughout the state. But how did the state come together, and what resources did you use to elevate your company?
So it started at the University of Michigan, and when we were asked to start the business, we didn't know what that meant. And so we started working with the Center for Entrepreneurship, which was very young at that time. It was really just started. We had no idea what it involved. And they started connecting us to everybody in the state that was involved in entrepreneurship. So it started there, it led to Ann Arbor Spark, led to MEDC. We got connected to mentors at every level. So it's really access to resources that these groups throughout the state help with all the entrepreneurs in the state. And talking to other companies in other states, they don't have that hands-on approach. They may have business competitions, they may have taxes, tax subsidies that help, but they don't necessarily have the actual face-to-face meetings with the leaders in the state that can really help.
So super interesting. I learned so much about SkySpecs today, and it's great that you're here in Ann Arbor and in Michigan.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time.
Keep in touch and
Definitely.
enjoy your ride to the top.
All right, appreciate it.
Good deal.